Hello and welcome to the Doofcast, a film and TV podcast from Doof Media. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me this week is... Oh shit, I forgot your name.
It's I forgot my name too. I think they messed up.
Shit.
I think they just gave me normal brain damage.
Sure. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Nobody needs to know.
Okay.
This week on the show, we continue our series taking a look at the 25 best films of the 21st century voted on by our Patreons. Could you refresh the people, if this happens to be the first episode of the series they are watching, how our patrons are voting on this thing, Matt?
If you head on over to doofmovies.com and sign up, you can vote on which movies of the 21st century were your favorites. You can rank them according to your own preferences. And if you're a patron of Doof Media, then those preferences will be conveyed to the main page that determines the order in which we cover these movies. And so that's why we're covering the movie we're covering this week, is because it's number 8, or it was number 8 on the list when we made the choice. And Scott, what is that movie?
That movie is 2004's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Now, we have done an episode on this movie before, Matt. We did it 4 years ago for our canon episode. Fortunately, my memory has been entirely erased since then, so I have no memory of that episode whatsoever at all.
Yeah, me neither.
And this isn't a joke. Like,
yeah,
I remember doing an episode on this movie. That's the most of what I remember about the conversation.
So, I had to, of course, do some research because I also didn't remember, and it was a Doof canon episode.
Yes, yep.
And I'm pretty sure it made it into the canon.
I believe that is correct. I would be very surprised to hear otherwise.
The other funny thing, though, is that a long time ago, we also did a deconstructing Charlie Kaufman episode, because this was so long ago that we didn't realize that you really should just do a whole run of movies for a director. I distinctly remember trying to watch all these movies in 1 week, and it was ridiculous and a terrible idea.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was single then without children, and so the idea of watching 7 movies in a week was much more achievable for me.
Yeah. So we just keep talking about this movie and then completely forgetting about it is the point.
I mean, if we talk about the original ending of this movie, maybe that is the point.
Yeah.
of it all.
Yeah.
I do want to get into that. But before we do, I guess we should formally say what the movie is, right? Oh, we did that already.
We did that, and you forgot.
Jesus. Let's get into it, Matt. What is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind all about?
When their relationship turns sour, a couple undergoes a medical procedure to have each other erased from their memories forever.
This movie was written by Charlie Kaufman and Michel Gondry and Pierre Bismuth. It is directed by Michel Gondry, and it stars Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Tom Wilkinson, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Kirsten Dunst. What a fucking stacked cast. I guess maybe in 2004 it wasn't as stacked of a cast. I mean, your 2 leads obviously were, but I don't think Ruffalo was huge in 2004.
Yeah. Yeah, Ruffalo was definitely not somebody whose name I would have known in 2004, certainly.
But Kirsten Dunst was coming off of Spider-Man, so she was pretty huge. Elijah Wood was coming off of Lord of the Rings, so...
Yeah.
Man, God.
Yeah. Well, that's what's fun is it's all these great actors who we know and recognize, but they're in what is really a very... naturalistic, artistic, almost art house feeling movie. It's a very strange movie. I think it's delightful, by the way, that it has made it not only so close to the top of our list, but close to the top of many, critics' best of the whatever lists, because it's such an unusual movie, right? It's every part of it. I came into this conversation wanting to talk a bit more about the direction, because I feel like it's probably not something we talked about last time, and I'm trying not to egregiously repeat myself.
Again, we will have no memory if we are doing that, but yes.
But the the visual style of everything, like not just the scenes where they're in the dream world and they're running between dreams and you have these amazing practical effects shots where they're moving between two scenes that both happen in a bedroom, and it's like they're at one end, they're doing something over here, and then they both like dive under the covers playfully, and then the camera like tracks to the left as they're like moving under the covers, and then they kind of pop out on the right, and now they're just in a different scene, in a different memory, right? There's so much stuff like that where these artistic transitions and even more subtle things, like when he's all of the times it happens over and over when he's trying to find her or like chase her down, and she's over there now, and now she's over there, and I don't know, there's all that, right? So there's all the sort of supernatural stuff that is, again, very, very artistic and fun, especially how much of it feels practical. Even if it isn't necessarily all practical, it feels very grounded. But then there's just like the quiet moments of tone of them sitting on a beach on a staircase in Montauk with the rail between them, and like the lighting and the camera angles that they're choosing. There's a capturing of the romance that this movie succeeds at that I really appreciated. And I'll say, like, so many movies that I watch, I just feel like there's no chemistry actually happening on the screen, and it's supposed to be romantic. I'm supposed to think that these people are in love, and I don't. I'm just like, I don't feel anything about this. This movie, I've never had that issue with it. I think that first of all, the two leads work great together. They have great chemistry. They're just phenomenal actors. But then I think also the way that it's all shot and the camera angles, like I said, the construction of the scenes, everything about it is perfectly aimed to lock you into like caring about this relationship.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's so intimate. The camera is so intimate. It's so locked in close to the performers kind of constantly in those scenes. Actually, just like I pulled it up on my second monitor, and I'm just like watching it while we're talking on mute, just because I wanted to experience, just without any of the dialogue, just like some of the stuff you're talking about. And and what I really like about it is, like, this is a movie about love, and it's a movie about these two people in this relationship, and the movie is so cold, and I don't mean that in like emotionally, I mean like literally. Yeah. Like it's coldness permeates it. The start of the movie is Joel going to Montauk in February. It's fucking freezing, but like even so much of their memories together and so much of their moments together are these moments where, like, even when we see how they first met in Montauk, it's not February, but it doesn't feel like particularly warm either. It's like it's this cold environment, and then like what that causes is the characters are kind of hovering closer together, and then the camera is hovering closer together to them, and it really brings this warmth and intimacy to the people themselves, because the environment has none of it. And I just really, really liked that.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, there's a lot of I don't know if color grading is exactly what it is, but there's a coldness. I mean, it plays with the warmth or coldness of the feel of the movie. I think it uses color intentionally quite a lot. Like there are some scenes that feel very warm and cozy, and there's a kind of like fuzziness and out of focusness to it that makes it all feel very, like you said, intimate and close and happy. And then there's these scenes that are very cold and stark, and just it captures a feeling of wintry isolation and alienation and loneliness incredibly well.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's always kind of bundled up. Like they're like everyone, like it is kind of stark actually when we see the characters, the Mark Ruffalo and Kirsten Dunst, like dancing naked, because like in every other scene, characters are always wearing multiple layers and jackets and scarves and these things, and it's very cold feeling, which has the exact effect that I think you're talking about.
Yeah.
And of course, like we can't talk about color without talking about Clem's hair and how like that kind of not only is like a signal for us to be able to follow like time through the movie, which was a clever idea, but also just like I think depicts her kind of emotional states as we go as well.
Right, and yeah, it helps us differentiate with like what timeline we're in, because I definitely I think I've seen this movie several times.
Yeah.
And still, when the movie starts, I'm a little confused every time because I'm like, okay, this is the 7th time I've watched this movie. I'm pretty sure that what's happening right now is they've already had their memories erased, and Joel is going to the beach because he feels a compulsion to go there, and so is Clementine for the same reason, but neither of them understand this.
Yes.
And a lot of their interactions on the train are in very fun and subtle ways, riffs on things that happen later in the movie, or at least you maybe recognize those things later in the movie. There was one thing you noticed that I'm going to ask you to point out now, because I never noticed this before.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one of the conversations they have when they're meeting on the train is she introduces herself, says her name is Clementine, and then she does the same thing we see her do at the end of the movie where she says, "No jokes, okay?" Only at the beginning of the movie, what he says is, I don't know any jokes about Clementine. And she says, "Really? No Huckleberry Hound? Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine." But I don't know why I never like put this together. At the end of the movie, when we see the first time they met, she says the same thing to him when they're on the beach in Montauk. She says, "No jokes about my name." And he goes, "What? You mean like Huckleberry Hound?" And does the same thing. And then he says, "I had a Huckleberry Hound toy that was like my favorite toy as a kid." And so the Joel we see post-memory erasure has had that memory erased from him as well, I guess, is the implication here, because maybe Clementine was too close to that, and so the memory eraser erased that memory as well. And I think that's very clever, because it gets into just like this idea of how much your relationships and memories of people and experiences in your life, like, I mean, the idea of this movie is kind of absurd on the face of it, right? That like you could map someone's brain and just zap out all the parts that touched your memories of the person. But like, no, it's like it goes everywhere. It becomes part of everything. And so like I think that's an example of even this memory of this happy childhood moment where of his favorite toy was zapped because of this whole ridiculous thing that they're doing.
Yeah. I love the idea that he's an artist. You know, we don't really ever find out what Joel does for a living, as far as I recall.
No, we do not know.
But you know, he does all this art, and I love that, you know, when he has to tear her out of his life, a lot of that involves bringing all of this art that he's created that involves her. And I love that as a, you know, both a visual metaphor, but also just a literal signifier of like, like there's all this physical stuff. There's things that you have made and invested yourself into that are associated with this person. And it seems really tragic to just be like, yeah, I can never, you know, that drawing, that painting is gone now. It's just gone to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's realistic, because if you have a breakup, like a horrible breakup, then absolutely, if you see that doodle that you made, you know, that involved the other person in some way, then you'll be like, oh, and that's the way, and like everything in your house is that way. So I love that. Like, I feel like just such a well-written movie in so many different ways. But one of the ways is that you just know that he was thinking like, okay, let's just think through all of the things that are involved in breaking up with the person, and the hole that leaves in your life, and the actual sort of mundane reality of that. Like, yeah, you're gonna see these things in your house that remind you of them. There's gonna be clothes that you have. There's gonna be choices that you made that were because of them. And if you no longer remember them, those things are all going to be so confusing. You know, this is a minor point, but I thought it was really interesting how Clementine calls Elijah Wood kind of freaking out and saying like, nothing makes sense. I feel like I'm going crazy. And I don't think we ever really find out like what was it exactly that caused her to have that reaction. Mm-hmm. I don't remember there being a scene where it's like she finds something that shouldn't be there or whatever. It's in my interpretation, like my feeling is like she just could feel like something has been ripped out of my life.
Yeah.
And I can see all of the like, you know, metaphorical raw edges of maybe where it used to be. But this doesn't make like this is weird. This doesn't make sense. Things don't make sense in a fundamental way. And it's extremely upsetting to her. So it's a kind of illusion that you could just like, you know, blithely erase this from your life and just move on.
Yeah, I definitely think it's that. I think I actually, for whatever reason, I was way more interested in the Elijah Wood character in this in this viewing than I ever have been. And I think that is ultimately a really fascinating like exploration of this concept. So basically what he does is he takes all the junk. Joel has thrown all the junk in a trash bag to be analyzed, and he steals it and uses it in order to basically recreate a facsimile of Joel to get this girl to fall in love with him. And it's really interesting because like I think everyone has probably at some point in their relationship been like, I really like this person, and if I can just say the right stuff and do the right things, I can win them over to me. And I think Elijah Wood's kind of ultimate failure to do that shows that it is more than just the words or the things or like a recreation of something or saying the right thing or knowing the person. There's some, I mean, that's kind of the overarching theme of this movie is that there's some connection and love and whatever you want to call it exists on some level beyond the idea of memory. Mm-hmm. That these two people erased each other from their lives, but literally the day after that happened, Joel meets her again and then starts up again, right?
Yeah.
Like the very next day.
Yeah. I think that this is beautiful, right? This is one of those things that I've changed over time. I have changed over time as the viewer, because to me, like the idea that there are two people who are just so powerfully drawn to each other and they bring each other such joy, but then also they're not really a great fit in many ways and they rub each other the wrong way, and they maybe even in some sense what draws them to each other is the fact that they're so different. Mm-hmm. And that difference eventually starts to grate on them, and then it pushes them apart again. Like that I just kind of see that as inherently beautiful and human now, whereas I think maybe a younger version of me would have been like, the tragedy of it all, the curse and fallen nature of mankind, and it's just like, nah, I don't know. I think I love it. I love the ending. I think I used to be down on the ending because they lost their memories and whatever, and because it seemed cynical to be like, you know, well, I don't know. It seemed diminishing in some way, the idea that they lost their memories and they're just going to try again. It's like, but you lost all of that important stuff, and now I'm just like, you know, life is complicated. Just let these kids have another go at it.
I really just completely agree with that. And I think this is something that I don't think I was ever as down on the ending as you were, but like I was really obsessed with the idea of like, are they going to work it out in the end? Like the movie kind of leaves you on this ambiguous level of like, okay, so they've decided to try again, and they're acknowledging that the things that both annoyed the shit out of each other that drove them to break up and do this, those things haven't gone away. They haven't disappeared. And because they forgot their memory, they can't exactly like learn and grow from those things. So the odds of them happening again are pretty high. So like the movie leaves you with like, well, is this going to work out? Is it not going to work out? And like what I found in this recent viewing is that I don't necessarily care about that. Like the unanswered question doesn't bother me. What I love is two people looking at this thing at the end of the day, knowing that maybe not fully understanding. Because I mean, like to take the science fiction conceit out of it, you get out of a relationship with the person, your lives become entwined, and then you break up and you separate your lives from each other. And then if you are going to try again, if that is going to happen and that entwining happens again, you do kind of start it off at the beginning being like, why did those things that bothered me so much bother me, right? Like you have kind of suffered a little bit of memory loss sometimes where you're just so excited about maybe the relationship or getting back, or you're so in love or just just the idea that you might work it out. Like you do the same thing people always do, which is the things that eventually annoy you were cute at the time, or you look past them because you like so many other things. And like the problem with a relationship is that stuff changes over time, and some people can't work that out. And so what I am most obsessed with right now is not, are they going to be in a relationship tomorrow or 2 years from now or 5 years from now or whatever, but just that these are two people that listened to the other person say horrible, heinous shit to each other and then decided to give it a go anyway.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think there's sort of two interpretations of the movie that I vacillate between, and you know, you can have two different interpretations in your head at the same time. I don't think that's a contradiction. Mm-hmm. I think at one point I was convinced that things are going to be different this time because even though they erased the memory of each other, they had an impact on each other, and they, you know, Joel being with Clementine kind of gave him a little bit more joie de vivre and made him a little bit more risk-taking and bold. And Clementine being with Joel made her a little bit more settled, a little bit less, chaotically spontaneous. And also on top of that, like they're just a couple of years older now. Like sure. For some reason, I think it's because I'm getting old, but I noticed a thing that she says. And it struck me in a totally different way this time. It's like a throwaway thing in the middle. It's again when Elijah Wood goes to her house and she's kind of ranting about how nothing is right, and she says like, and I'm getting old, and I think I didn't even like parse that before. And it's like, well, she probably like looked in the mirror and was like, holy shit, I'm older, because all of the time that she spent with Joel, not all of it is gone, obviously, but she was never looking in the mirror thinking like about whether a man would like her during those years, right? Yeah. She wasn't really like thinking about herself that way. She was just maybe projecting a bit, obviously, but I'm just imagining like she hasn't really thought about her age, and now it's a shock to her, right? And like, so they're just different people now, is the point. So that's one interpretation, is like, well, they're different people now, so maybe they will have a chance at it. The other interpretation that I also like is that they're exactly the same people and exactly the same thing will happen again, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Which I also like.
Yeah, I mean, just because, like, I mean, this is the thing, is like the idea that I think a younger version of me would look at a relationship that's doomed to fail and be like, okay, then what's the point, right? Why bother? And now I'm just kind of at a place in my life is like, well, the point is the memories, ironically, right? Like the experiences and the thing, like those change you and define you and push you and do exactly what you're saying in the first interpretation of it. It does. Like, I do think Joel was changed by that experience, and the act of erasing that is the exact opposite of what you should do. I mean, like I've never been more clear that the entire message of this movie is that doing this is a horrible, fucked up thing, and no one should ever do it. Like, if this technology existed in the real life, it would be the worst possible thing you could do because it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I'm just like, I think I like, if I sit down and think about what I want. Like I said, I didn't care, but if I sit down and think about what I want to happen, I want exactly what you said to happen. I want Joel to be a little bit more assertive. to be a little bit more bold, Clementine to be a little bit more patient, a little bit less spontaneous, a little bit more like Joel, and that combination on the second go round is the key to success, and they're happily ever after forever. But like, yeah, I don't think, even if that doesn't happen, I don't think it diminishes. Like, Joel's, it makes me so sad that he's sitting in that car and waiting for her to come back with her toothbrush, and he tells her this is the best day he's had in his fucking life. This is the fucking best day I've had in my fucking life. And I'm like, man, that's great. And I don't think the fact that this could end in them breaking each other's hearts again, like, has to diminish that, you know?
Yeah. And I also don't feel like Joel on the first go around would have said something like that, by the way, like just along the lines of Joel having changed. Like, I think that, openness and sharing was the kind of thing that she always said she wanted from him, and that he wouldn't, couldn't really give. He just was too emotionally constipated.
Yeah. Well, I do think one of the big things that the movie directly shows us here is we have this moment as the memories come crumbling down, and they are in now the last memory, aka the first memory. And he's talking to Clementine about how he got scared and he ran away.
Mm-hmm.
And he like just wishes, why didn't I stay? Why didn't I stay? I wish I had stayed. I wish I had stayed. And the one thing we do see in the present day version is she gets freaked out. She runs out the door, and he follows her. Right. Yeah. And that does feel like something that maybe Joel would not have done. That he wouldn't have chased after. He wouldn't have said, no, let's try. That Joel runs from things. Is kind of what he does.
Yeah.
And Clementine does it too. And so like that final moment where he chases after and says, no, let's try. And she also has the patience and confidence to say, okay. I do think that's demonstrative of some sort of change.
I think so. I think that's one of the, more optimistic and beautiful interpretations. I think maybe one reason why I balk at this is literally because Charlie Kaufman writes so many depressing movies that I'm like, did he really intend that? But again, I think I've gotten to the point where I would be okay with it, even if they just, try it again and then broke up. Cause it's like, there's a kind of, I think you and I have talked before about how like the movies we watched, we're like, the same age essentially. And the movies that we watched growing up are overlap strongly. And it was like we were being programmed by all of our media to have a very specific idea of like what relationships are supposed to look like and what they're for.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is a concerted conspiracy or something. I'm just saying that this is what ended up happening, is like the art of that era was monomaniacally focused on this conception of relationships and love as being super, super important, like, and more important than anything. And like they're supposed to fulfill you and make you happy and be everything to you. And the idea of a relationship ending is a horrible tragedy, just a horrible, horrible tragedy. And then you grow up and you're like, wait a minute. Okay, first of all, relationships aren't like the most important thing in the world. They're one of the many things in the world that is consequential. And a relationship ending is in the to paraphrase Louis C.K., never a tragedy, because because it definitely needed to end if it ended, right?
Yeah.
So like that's one way in which my perspective on the movie I think has shifted, where previously, like especially when it came out, I was in the perfect age to think like, oh my God, it's such a horrible tragedy that they erased their relationship, and the idea of these people who are so in love breaking up is just the worst, most sad thing I can imagine.
Yeah.
But now I just see it as like, yeah, it was a beautiful thing in its time that it played it had its course, and maybe they can do it again. And that's kind of beautiful too. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, I think about like how I viewed relationships as a teenager and young adult, and man. Did I think that this was the key to happiness and success and all the things in my life I wanted, was finding a girl that would complete me in those ways, right? And I'm not like I'm very happily married. I'm very content in my life, but just like I was viewing relationships wrong and putting an intense amount of pressure on myself to both get in one and then make sure it's like the one. Like I think we're both romantics, and we watched a lot of movies that really play into that romanticism of like people, like, you're gonna find the one and you're gonna be complete, and yeah, like we liked these kind of quirky movies too, with these kind of quirky women in it, that maybe pull something out of a character that they don't have themselves, right? Like I think I identify very much with Joel in a lot of ways, and I very much remember having crushes on girls that are like Clementine, and thinking that this was the answer, that this is this incredible, boisterous, carefree, outgoing person that would pull me out of my shell and would make me complete. And then, yeah, like the idea that would fail, and I would lose that, would be devastating, because how can I exist without that? If I'm using that to completely define who I am, that can't stand. And yeah, I think maturity in both my understanding of what relationships are and just growing older have eased off on that so much that, yeah, I'm just like, sometimes things end.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I think also maturity, I mean, in the specific, like, discrete sense that we both have kids, it is a change. And I couldn't help but notice, I think I've noticed this about this, or I've like thought about this aspect of this movie more and more. And then watching it this time, it just jumped out to me, because if you pay close attention to this, to like the order of events as they're going back in time, we're going back in time. So the first memories we see are the worst memories. Yeah. They're all of the, a combination of just, disrespecting each other, being just disinterested in each other, just really awful, or
they are nasty to each other.
Yeah. At best they're just ignoring each other, and at worst they're just saying just awful things to each other.
Yeah.
But then, okay, we're stepping back, and then we get to a scene where it starts out kind of sweet. Actually, they're like at a market, and they see a baby, and Clementine says, "I want to have a baby," and Joel does not react the way that Clementine wants him to react, and it immediately turns into a horrible fight. That he's being evasive, and like very, very Joel behavior, not wanting to have the confrontation. Mm-hmm. And then once we step back to next scene chronologically, meaning before that point, there's not really any conflict. And I was thinking about this because I was like, is the movie saying that they were actually fine as long as Clementine kind of could have this vision in her mind of like, I like this guy and we're going to settle down and we're going to have babies, and like she has her own vision of what this is going to be like, and then he shuts her down on this thing which is actually really important to her, even though she kind of brings it up in a lighthearted way, and then she's just not able to understandably not able to get past that, because it's like, what the fuck am I doing here if we're not going to have babies, Joel? In her mind, like she doesn't say this, she doesn't bring it up again. Mm-hmm. But I noticed distinctly, like, that's the inflection point. Everything was fine. That was the first time they had a really bad conflict chronologically.
Yeah, I've never thought about it that way, so I'd have to think about this. I mean, I do think like the vibe I got from that scene was that this was one of these spontaneous Clementine things, right? Where she just in that moment decided, I want to have a baby, and hasn't thought about it very much at all before that. But maybe that's just a wrong read. So I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely would think that this is like, the desire to be a mom is something that is probably always bouncing around Clementine's head, and that was just the moment she decided to bring it up because they just saw a baby. But these are all projections, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that is the moment where we see like everything before that is happy, young early relationship stuff where they're just getting along and happy with each other.
Yeah. All right. And if just to make one more point on this, like she says she wants to have a baby, and he says something really very mean, which is like not in so many words, but he's like, I don't think you'd be a very good mother, basically.
Yeah.
Which is a horrible thing to say to someone, like incredibly hurtful, really.
Yeah.
And he's the one who says it, right? Joel is the one who says the first genuinely cutting thing.
Yeah.
I mean, she criticizes him sometimes, but that's like another level, I think. So that scene really just slammed into me this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's a really great choice here that like this is not a story about this perfect man who is in love with this woman and she did this to him, right? Mm-hmm. These are two people that were very much in love with each other that destroyed each other in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And it all comes from their own separate insecurities. I think a really interesting thing about Joel is that he is absolutely enamored with her by like her positive traits. But I do think Joel carries this feeling of like superiority to her in other ways, that like she's like outgoing and he loves her ability to just be spontaneous and not worry all the time, but he thinks he's smarter than her. Mm-hmm. And he thinks he has it more together than her. And so his reflection of what his response to what she said was a reflection of like, no, like that's the me stuff. That the Joel stuff is responsible enough to take care of a child. The Clementine stuff is gonna go to Montauk randomly on a Tuesday morning. And so like that is why I think he becomes mean about it, because like, you know, that we see it a little bit in his tape where this idea of like, she doesn't really read. Mm-hmm. I really can't talk to her about books, or like mm-hmm. he has these feelings of that he's better than her in some ways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, when they're having that argument, actually, he says, I don't think we're ready, is the first thing he says. And she says, you're not ready. And which is her honest take on him, right? Like he thinks she's immature and flighty, but I think she looks at him, and this is like the two faces of the coin thing, which I think is so fascinating, is like she looks at him and she sees this sort of stolid stability that is alluring to her for some reason. Mm-hmm. But the flip side of that is like not prepared to take on the challenge and disruption that a kid would be, you know, because I mean, yeah. Joel is just very self-absorbed and like in his head all the time, like especially the chronologically earliest version of Joel. He's like, he seems to be completely socially inept and just unable to talk to anyone. And
yeah,
I think she helps him with that, actually.
I think so, for sure.
There's also I know we didn't bring this up last time because I just found this out, but apparently like there are references in the movie to him living with a woman when he meets Clementine, which I had just completely forgotten about because it's such a like irrelevant aspect of the movie, really. But apparently they filmed scenes with her. There was an actress who was cast in that role.
Interesting.
And they just cut all that out, presumably because it's, you know, distracts from the main through line. I do find myself curious, like what were they doing with that? What were those scenes like? But I also can't really say that I think it was a bad choice, because I think the story is really focused and propulsive the way it is. But I was just thinking about that aspect and saying like, well, if he was like in a relationship and it was kind of like a stifling relationship of some kind, maybe that was also like making him be more that way, and we're sort of only seeing the residue of this in the final version of the movie. Because he thinks about her in the beginning of the movie. Doesn't he think about her like, I should get back. I should call her. I should get back with.
Yeah, he says, I think Naomi is her name.
Yeah. I should get back with Naomi. She was nice.
Yeah.
nice is good. And which at that point in the movie, that word doesn't have any significance to us yet. But then you reflect on it and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like that we don't ever see her and see any of the scenes, because I think it allows us to kind of construct what this relationship was on our own. And I mean, basically what we learn is that like he's in this relationship. It's pretty serious. They're not married, but they're living together. They're probably like talking about marriage, but they haven't done it yet. And then he goes to Montauk with his friends and she can't come one day. And he leaves that basically in love and breaks up with this woman that he's living with, ends their relationship to chase after this new woman. And so like that doesn't paint Joel in the best light either, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. And he doesn't seem to feel too bad about it.
Nope.
Yeah.
The only time we see him think about her is that line right there. It was like, maybe I'll get back together with Naomi. She was nice. So does she want to get back together with you, Joel? Maybe she doesn't want to.
Right. So self-absorbed.
Yeah.
The use of nice is very funny because, Clementine aggressively rejects the idea that she's nice, and it's this very, very Kaufman concept of this like this bickering that they have. I love like the whole scene on the train when they meet again for the first time.
Oh, it's delightful.
Yeah, I definitely. That's it's like I have a vague memory of watching the movie for the first time and just being very confused by everything that's happening. And I think when you watch it for the first time, you're definitely thinking like, this lady's weird and Joel is normal. and then you watch the movie a few times and you really understand what's happening there. And and there's just so much more going on there actually, but it's all there, right? It's all of the details are all of the details of that dialogue are consequential. It's very tight.
No, it's great. I mean, this is like the structure of this movie is brilliant. Like that is like a 17-minute opening sequence that plays kind of just like a romance film of a certain kind, like a quirky independent romance film. Arguably, maybe like you could call it a manic pixie dream girl film of this era, right? This is not long after Garden State came out, I think. So you could see Clem as this, like in a different movie, she's this kind of perfect path and channel for Joel to become a better, well-rounded person.
Yeah.
And that lasts for like 17 minutes. And then we don't even get the opening credits and title until after that sequence is over.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I always forget structurally how we have that sequence and then we like smash cut to Joel like weeping in his car.
Uh-huh.
And, again, even having seen the movie this many times, I'm like, wait a minute, okay, hold on. Okay, this is earlier. And, you get, because the movie, again, it's fun to put yourself in the position of watching it for the first time. Because if you're watching it for the first time, your immediate assumption is like, oh, okay, we're flashing forward. And it's like, no, we're flashing back to the end of their first relationship, actually.
Yeah.
Which,
and again, like the delicious irony of like his this is the morning after the events of the movie. Like he wakes up to the van door slamming, which is them leaving. And then he gets up, immediately goes to Montauk, immediately bumps into Clementine again. Like he had not forgotten about her for 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
And the moment with Elijah Wood where he knocks on the window and it's like, "Can I help you?"
Yeah.
Why are you here?
I don't understand what you're asking me. I love that.
Jim Carrey is incredible.
Let's
in
talk
this
about
movie.
let's talk about him.
I love Jim Carrey. Obviously, like no single actor is going to have a run like the combination of Ace Ventura and The Mask and what was the other one? He had another one in that run that I'm blanking on now. Dumb and Dumber, I think, was like with like all in the same year where he just blew up and became like the most famous person ever. And his career has been so fascinating to me. And this is really, I don't remember when Truman Show happened. I think it was before this. But he's like slowly kind of moving into trying to do more quote unquote serious films. But this movie is very Jim Carrey. Like he's being more like serious and sullen, but like he's also doing a lot of Jim Carrey stuff.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot more in this viewing for some reason, that he's doing physical comedy almost constantly, actually. It's like, what do you mean? This is his serious role. It's like, okay, the scene when he runs through the train station to get on the other train, he's doing hilarious Jim Carrey physical comedy. He like crams his way through the door of the train and everything. But it's like, just like he is in such control that you just know that he's like, I'm just going to dial this down to a 6 out of 10 instead of the 10 out of 10 that it would be for Ace Ventura. And then I like, once I got that idea in my head because of the train station scene, which is close to the beginning of the movie, I was just watching all of his performances, and like he's always got his body posed and like he's using his whole body and his express. I mean, there's also a lot of subtlety to it, right? Like he's famous for this incredible ability to change his face to look like, you know, he just like morph his face like a shapeshifter, and he looks like Clint Eastwood or whatever. It's like, no, these are just the most delicate shadings of confusion and hurt and sullenness and, you know, passive aggressive, like just like he's such a good. I always, I mean, it's like, I know in my brain that Jim Carrey is a really good actor, but every time I watch this movie, I'm like, oh, but he's like a really good actor.
Yeah.
And it really helps that he's opposite Kate Winslet, because Kate Winslet is one of the best who's ever done the job.
Yep.
And I think she got an Academy Award nomination for this movie, but didn't win.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
And she deserved it. And they both, and like them playing off each other is just, I don't know that. I think this might be one of the things that makes this one of my favorite movies, honestly, and one of the movies that's so close to the top of this list. Is just like, I can't even think of a romance that has such strong, not just chemistry, but just interplay between the two leads.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like, obviously, like the first time I saw Kate Winslet in my life was Titanic. I don't know 100% if that's true, but I think it is. And like she's playing this young, beautiful woman. And like I like learning about like who she is as a performer since then. I just like this movie was kind of like, whoa. But this is more Kate Winslet's vibe, and she's just very, very good at this. But like, if you sat me down before watching this movie and told me, okay, I got a movie, it's Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey as love interests, and it's gonna be kind of funny, but it's mostly gonna be serious and dramatic. I would be like, that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever told me ever. That won't work.
Yeah. Right.
But it does, and I mean, she's phenomenal. Like we talked about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing, and I've seen this movie like lumped into the whole larger critique of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope, and I just like, I refuse to accept that. Like I just think that's 100% wrong. That like the thing that I think upsets people most about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope is that they are essentially not characters in and of themselves. They are just vessels to help the main character, usually a man, get better. Like I think Garden State is actually, like, in my opinion, the example of this. I know it's not the one that coined the term, but like Natalie Portman's character in that movie is not like a human being.
Yeah, she doesn't really have an arc or want anything, right?
No. She is literally just an object, and an amalgamation in order to make Zach Braff like a better person. But like Clementine, you cannot say that about her. She's like this fully realized, complicated human being who is constantly doing stuff for her benefit, not for the benefit of Joel. like I just like if you like Google Manic Pixie Dream Girl and like Google image search, you'll like see pictures of Clementine, and I think it's almost entirely because of the hair. It's like somewhere along the way we decided that Manic Pixie Dream Girls will have like wild colored hair, and so she's one. I'm like no, no, absolutely not. And I think it's a disservice to the character, and I think it's a disservice to her performance as the character, which is exquisite.
Yeah. Well, there's two things I want to say. First, like she has the speech that she delivers twice, which is the
anti-Manic Pixie Dream Girl speech, right?
Which is the like, I am not your Manic Pixie Dream Girl. I am. Yeah. I know that when you see me, you see this alluring thing that you think is going to make you better. I'm just a messed up girl who's trying to get her, find her own peace of mind, literally addressing it in the movie. And then the other thing is like the hair itself, I think is dealt with really interestingly in the movie because Joel is absolutely attracted to the hair because it's like, oh, that's different. That's alluring because she's so wild and free that she would just change her hair color randomly because like that. And that's a trait that he's attracted to. And then we hear in his tapes later talking about how childish and stupid it is to dye her hair. And he's become sick of this. He has now wrapped this up with the rest of the stuff that has annoyed him about her. And he's like, the hair epitomizes everything I hate about her. And it's like, well, this is a perfect like takedown of this idea that this girl is going to, make you better with her magical, pixiness. It's just actually quite the opposite. If that's what you get into a relationship expecting, then you're only going to be disappointed and it's your fault.
Yeah. And this might not be fair to Clementine. I'm just prefacing what I'm about to say. I think the hair is kind of bullshit. I think she changes her hair because she wants to be perceived as the type of person who is constantly changing themselves. And that's a very showy outward way to demonstrate yourself to people. It feels performative to me in a way, because she is very insecure. Like the thing where she tells Joel about like that she thought she was so ugly when she was little, and she had this doll that she named Clementine, the ugly doll, and she just sat there and just like don't be ugly, be pretty, be pretty. That's horrible and tragic and awful. And like I think a lot of the spontaneity and quirkiness of her is a guard against just this insecurity about what she looks like and how people perceive her. And so I think like, I don't know, it feels performative to me in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the ways in which she's an interesting and fully realized character.
Absolutely.
Because like right, like dyeing your hair. I say this as someone who has dyed his hair a couple times in my life, for basically similar reasons to what you're describing. I was much younger, but it was like it was it's all about like I want to give a certain impression, but it's very important that it not be too obvious that this is to create an impression, right? We're such twisted creatures. Because I mean, on a level, almost everything we do is about appearances, but it's like pathetic to acknowledge that, right?
Yes,
so
yeah.
That, I mean, why else dye your hair, right? And that's fine, by the way. Like it's just certainly. It's just her, like you said. I think the pretending that it's that she's not doing that is what's kind of funny.
Well, and it's not even just that she's dyeing her hair, but she's dyeing her hair with these very quirky sounding colors, right?
Yeah.
That's all part of it. It's all part of the affect.
Yeah. I'd love to have the job of being the person who comes up with those names. Sure, this can't be more than 15 hair colors.
Joel's answer is such a Joel answer.
It's such a, yeah.
That's such a Charlie Kaufman idea right there.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he wrote that line. It's like,
absolutely.
Like 15 colors.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's really good. I love this movie, man. Like, and what I love about it most, and I think this is like when we're talking about the best movies of the century, we're talking about the best movies and the most lasting movies that we'll be talking about 75 years from now. I think the ones that grow and change with you as you grow and change, I think are the ones that end up on these lists, right? And that's one of my favorite things about this movie now is that I had a very different experience with it this time than I had the first time I watched it. And yet both versions of me love and appreciate this movie for what it's doing.
I agree. I think I love it more with time, which even though maybe my emotional reactions are lower in magnitude, I think my like artistic appreciation is higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So absolutely love that this is on the list. I guess the question I would ask you, and not to stir up shit, because I'm not. If we could only put Charlie Kaufman on this list once, would this be the movie in your mind?
I think so. Actually, I mean, I at this exact moment, I feel like the answer is definitely, but although that might be like recency bias. I don't know. Do you have a number two that's jockeying for first place with you?
Well, Adaptation is one of my favorite films of all time. I adore that movie, and I just checked; it did come out in 2002, so it technically still eligible. I'm actually curious to revisit that movie because I haven't rewatched that movie in a long time, and I wonder if that's one of those younger Scott loved this and older Scott would feel more moved by Eternal Sunshine than Adaptation. I don't know. I also really love Synecdoche, New York. Did you ever see Anomalisa?
Yeah. I saw all of his movies when we did our run through.
Yeah.
But like, I think, and I love his movies because they're also weird and creative and like honest in that way that is really what I want out of writing personally. But I feel like this is the one that's the most accessible and with a narrative that kind of is the most, funnily enough, the most cohesive and linear. At least dramatically linear, if that makes any sense. It kind of ends in a way that feels satisfying. I don't want to be unfair to him. Like Anomalisa also, ends very solidly, but it's just most of his movies are very sad to me, and this movie is much. It has many more dimensions than that.
Did you ever see I'm Thinking of Ending Things? Because I think that one was not out when we did our Kaufman thing.
I did not, because it sounds really heavy.
Yeah. It also came out in the middle of COVID, so it was heavy for all the reasons. But I found it absolutely beautiful. I really love that movie too. Now, do I love it more than Eternal Sunshine? I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, I think it's an easy answer. The more I think about it, I definitely like this one the best. Yeah.
What is this your Jim Carrey Apex Mountain? Like, is this your favorite Jim Carrey performance?
Well, dramatically, I think 100%, but like, I mean, Dumb and Dumber is Dumb and Dumber, right? So like there's comedy. You almost have to see them as two different things, right?
Yeah.
I love the Truman Show a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is one of my favorite movies, like setting aside the specific actors and whatever. I've just always loved this movie. So
yeah. I think this is one of his best performances, if not his best. I mean, I really like Truman Show, and I think he does a really good job in Truman Show.
Yeah.
And then, the 1994 Jim Carrey is like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Did you know? So 94, Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber all come out in the same year. Ace Ventura 2 comes out the next year. They saw their hit and then freaking pumped that movie out in a year.
Yeah, man.
And then he's in Batman Forever in 95 as well. And then Cable Guy in 96. And that's kind of, I think, the end of the Cinderella run.
And why is that? Did he just start deciding like, okay, I want to start? Because then the Truman Show. I mean, I really liked Liar Liar, but
Liar was very good. Yeah.
And then the Truman Show is 98. That's him deciding to start doing more serious things. Then he does Man on the Moon in 99, which
that was like a passion project.
Yeah.
And I think that broke him a little bit because I think it did well, but I don't think it was as successful as he was hoping it would be.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically kept working. It was funny to me recently, or it has been funny to me recently, that I sort of like had this idea in my head of like Jim Carrey has kind of, removed himself from the spotlight and become a reclusive weirdo. And then he comes out with Sonic 1, 2, 3
and 4
and soon to be 4. And you watch and I've watched those movies, and like he's being just as much Jim Carrey as he always was. He's being funny, and like I don't know if I would say that I recommend those movies, but like he's funny in the movies. They're fun movies. I don't know why I'm being weird about this. Like I enjoy watching the movies with my kids. They're fun movies, and he's funny in them. And it's just funny because like, yeah, he's still the same guy. He's doing it. He's still doing it. He's great.
Yeah, I mean, it is so weird that my perception of Jim Carrey is exactly like yours, that like he did all this stuff and then kind of walked away from the spotlight. But then you look at his filmography and it's like, even in the 2000s, like he has The Grinch in 2000, he does Bruce Almighty, he does this, A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah.
The number 23, which is him doing like, that wasn't my favorite. But outside of that, he does like Yes Man, Christmas Carol, Mr. Popper's Penguins. And then in the 2010s, he's doing Dumber and Dumber 2.
Yeah.
I guess like there is like a little bit of a disappearance in the 2010s. Like he did a few things early and then disappeared until the Sonic stuff.
Right.
But yeah, he has just kind of continuously worked, and it's not like he woke up one day and said, I'm going to do the serious stuff and I'm not going to do the silly Jim Carrey stuff anymore, because this is littered with him doing Jim Carrey stuff.
Yeah. with a few of the weird ones thrown in there, right? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that I don't know. It's funny. It's funny. He's still. I'm still excited to see what he comes up with. I think he's great.
He's an interesting guy. I think like personally, he's kind of weird.
Sure.
Which I mean, not surprising, right?
Right. We can't even open that can of worms when it comes to actors, but yes, he is.
Yeah. But I think he's a fantastic actor, great career. At one point, the highest paid actor in Hollywood, which is insane. $20 million a film he was getting in 1996.
Yep.
That's insane.
It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, I mean, we could go and do this whole project with Kate Winslet again, but I think we can call this one good.
Yeah.
For now. So that was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think next on the list, Matt, is going to be a movie that actually passed Eternal Sunshine, as you indicated at the beginning of the show. So a movie that is technically higher on the list now, and that will be another 2004 film, Shaun of the Dead, Edgar Wright's first of the Cornetto trilogy.
All right.
And I believe we've never done an episode on this, right?
I wouldn't bet on it.
Which is shocking.
I am not sure if that's accurate.
God damn it. Hold on. Let me just Google us. Love Googling myself.
I thought we did the whole Cornetto trilogy.
Shaun of the Dead.
I thought we did. Did we not? I'd be surprised to learn.
Well, my Reddit search didn't work because the Google AI says Doof in the context of Shaun of the Dead refers to Doof zombies from the Phineas and Ferb Halloween special.
I'll tell you what happened. We did episode 49 of the Daily Planet podcast was Deconstructing Wright.
Oh.
Where we did the same thing, where we watched all of his movies in 1 week like dumbasses.
What the fuck is wrong with us?
I don't know, but it is kind of funny that we did a Kaufman movie when we did the Deconstructing Kaufman episode and then followed by a Wright movie. Okay. That's fine. That must have been a brief conversation if we fit it into a conversation where we talked about several other movies.
Yeah. And it was also so many years ago.
Yes.
That memory wiping surgery or not, I definitely do not remember that.
2016.
Oh my God. Almost 10 years, Matt.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that will be next week. We will be talking all about Shaun of the Dead. Just to give you guys a little bit of a programming note, we're going to continue to go through these top 25 of the 21st through the rest of this year. And then probably beginning in January, we are going to kick off. We're going to put a pause on this and kick off our Oscars catch-up series where we try as hard as we can to fit in every single Oscar nominee before the Academy Awards. Matt, I think we're going to get a little lucky this year because we're only going to have to watch 9 because I'm like 99.9% sure Sinners is going to be nominated for an Academy Award.
Okay.
I'm also pretty confident that Avatar will be on there. The last 2 Avatar movies both got Best Picture nominations, so unless this one is like awful, I would expect to see it there.
Okay.
I'm really hoping we will not have to watch Wicked for good, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm really fingers crossed on that one. That's like one of the only opinions of movies that we've done that has gotten us negative reviews.
Yeah.
People were not happy with our opinions on Wicked. So I would prefer not to have to do Wicked for good. But
me too.
The Golden Globe nominations are coming out soon, which will be like one of the first big hints at the larger picture. And so I will be working on collating lists from all the experts out there who do this for a living to see if we can come up with a list of what we think the Best Picture nominees are going to be. And then we'll try to tackle those starting in the new year.
Sounds great.
Yeah, but for now, more of the best 25 in the 21st, and next week, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, or next in a couple weeks at least. Yeah.
Oh yeah, gosh, I forgot. You are traveling next week. Sorry. December is crazy for us. We've got traveling and Christmas, and so we're going to try to do as much as we can. But yes, the Shaun of the Dead episode will be out on the 19th of December.
That's right.
All right, that is all for this week, folks. If you have any opinions on Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, on Jim Carrey, on Kate Winslet, on any of this stuff, please reach out to us. You can find us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com, on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, at doofmedia, Instagram at doofmedia, Reddit, reddit.com/r/doofmedia.
Yeah, and if you're not already subscribed to the Doofcast, we encourage you to do so and ensure you never miss an episode. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere else podcasts can be found.
Yeah, YouTube is also where you can find our book club, which this Saturday, the 6th of December, Jesus, we'll be meeting on over at our YouTube page at 9:30 p.m. Central Time on Saturday night to talk about Joe Hill's King Sorrow. That's going to be our book club book for the month. So make sure you come by and check that out and enjoying that conversation. And also make sure you're checking out our other podcast, Flanagan's Wake. We are just wrapping up Bly Manor. We've got a couple more episodes of that. So The Haunting of Bly Manor, Mike Flanagan's television show follow-up to Hill House. We'll be finishing that before the end of the year. And then going into January, we will be talking about Midnight Mass at last. I'm very excited about that.
Me too.
And if you want to support us, please head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/doofmedia. That's where you can go to help define this list, this 25 greatest films of the 21st century list that we are continuing to create. It is changing. Even though we are working our way through these films, it is constantly changing. So you can still have your voice heard at any time. So make sure you do that. Patreon.com/doofmedia.
Also, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Each review helps us get more exposure and introduces new people to the content that we make here.
Yeah, and leave us comments on Spotify and stuff, too. We like comments. I want to see them.
Yeah,
do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks for Shaun of the Dead. The best zombie movie ever?
Definitely.
My name name is Doof, and you'll do what I say. My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say.